Welcome back, everybody, to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BETSPERTS. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christenson, and joining me, as always, Mr. Andy Molitor. And although it's not Friday, we thought it important for our last show of the year to make sure that we just get one more dose of football with Fallica. Welcome back, Mr. Fallica. How was your Christmas? You doing anything fun for New Year's? Maybe shower yourself in mayonnaise?
You want my New Year? My New Year is gonna be fun. I'll be on an airplane flying west on a red eye from Miami right after the Orange Bowl with Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Holly Rowe, and whomever else is headed out west for Reese Davis for game day at the Rose Bowl on the morning of January 1st, and then we have the Rose Bowl game. So yeah, well, I was doing the math a little before in my head. I figured it'll probably be looking at about an hour in a shower for New Year's morning, based on by the time we land, we get to the hotel and all set, and our show is at 7 a.m. Pacific time. So I'm figuring it's going to be a pretty quick turnaround. So Sunday is going to be basically spent sleeping away, and I'm going to be missing all those wonderful NFL games, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's sports and emergency rooms. It's not a 9 to 5. It's like there's no holidays. It's not there's no closing time. It's a tough time of year with that too. Like it's just Christmas Day. There's a ton of sports. Yep. New Year's Eve. Like it's not off days, especially for you. And yeah, you've had some over the year. You've mentioned fun travel spots. This one looks like a rough one indeed. But when it ends with going to the Rose Bowl and going and covering that's not a bad a bad pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Believe me, I'm not complaining at all. No. What I do beats working for a living, man. I love it. I couldn't imagine missing the Rose Bowl. It will be a challenge for the body though, because then I fly back red eye the other way on Saturday night after the Rose Bowl. So I got a red eye going the wrong way on Friday night, and then a red eye going the other way on Saturday night. So I'm I'm probably going to be comatose on Sunday for sure, but that's okay. Then I kind of get a little bit of a relaxing week at home before heading out to Indy on Friday.
Yeah, there's a bit of a respite, and then of course we get the big game, and golf starts big next week. This is
I'm so fired up for golf. I was telling Ryan Noonan the other day, I just can't wait to get golf and tennis going again, because those things are a lot easier to kind of handicap and figure out. And not that it's easy picking a golf tournament winner, but you just with the COVID now, I'm figuring out the handicap is basically who's going to play and who's not going to play. And that's just tough. At least I know there's going to be one tennis player on a court or one golfer I'm going to select to make or miss the cut. So it seems like my success rate will be a lot easier, a lot higher with that than it will be how many South Carolina players are not playing today.
God, yeah.
I won't miss
that. That's a good point too with golf and tennis. We haven't run into that a ton with people with getting knocked out with COVID in golf. It was usually pre-tournament. I think there's only one or two cases where it was a golfer of consequence.
And it got
one
me.
Really big case. It did get you, but for the most part, tennis hasn't been too bad. A lot of people just aren't getting to be involved in certain tournaments. But yeah, like you mentioned, basketball's been a nightmare. College basketball, tons of teams on pause. Football was a nightmare. I feel like the changes they made might have swung things in the opposite direction, which is just in time for the playoffs. And you wanted to talk some NFL today, and this is something I've thought about this. I need to keep like a journal of this throughout the year of like, what's the media narrative this week and why is it this week? Because I think it'd be a funny story to tell at the end of the year. But NFL Coach of the Year, you wanted to talk, and we have mentioned this all year. Drew and I gone back and forth on like, at one point it was just Cliff Kingsbury. It was his to lose, and at one point it was Belichick's to lose. It's the same with any of these award markets now. Our guy up in Green Bay, LaFleur, plus 175 favorite, followed by Frank Reich. Belichick's still there, and Zach Taylor, despite how much I dog on that guy. If they win their division, what are you going to do? Not vote for the guy?
Like, I just don't get Matt LaFleur being plus 175, that short of a price. I understand the thought process by someone threw it out there on Twitter at me the other day. Like sometimes it's harder to have a team live up to expectations, because I said the Packers are right where everybody thought they would be, a top a division with two of the worst 5 teams in football, with the MVP of the league at quarterback. So like I was surprised to see LaFleur that short. And look, if the Cincinnati Bengals win that division and make the playoffs after the abomination of a franchise that they've been in recent years, why wouldn't Zach Taylor be worthy of a vote? Why wouldn't Mike Vrabel be worth a vote, considering all of the injury issues that they've had throughout the course of the year, and they're going to win that division? Why wouldn't it? But if the Dolphins win their final 2 games and they make the playoffs after a horrible start and finish 10-7, like why wouldn't Brian Flores be worth a shot? So I just thought there were too many other really viable options out there than the head coach of a team that everyone kind of thought was going to be good, and they are.
I like Vrabel. That was the one that stuck out to me at 12-1. It looks like Kansas City might hold on for the 1 seed, but in a way, if they are able to somehow get close to that, even be a 2 seed, again, maybe somehow sneak past KC here in the last couple of weeks for the 1, at 12-1, that looks like a great number. Anything stick out to you, Andy?
Yeah, I mean the Zach Taylor price is probably off. That should be. I don't think he should be, favored at this point. But if the guy does win out and they have a shot, it's a really big ask to go beat Kansas City this week. But I think they match up nicely. And man, if you win that division I can't remember the last time. It's been a while. There was probably a couple division winners back in the Marvin days. But those teams are always so forgettable because they just lose in the first round. But yeah, Zach Taylor should probably be closer to 4 or 5-1. He should be down there with Frank Reich.
It's interesting too, because the other market with the Bengals, where I think the market is off, is with the comeback player of the year with Burrow. Both what Dak was like -600. Like, why? I get the whole narrative, and they got the star on their helmet, and the Cowboys are America's team, but they both suffered gruesome injuries last year. Nothing was expected of the Bengals, and you look at the statistics. Burrow leads the league in yards per attempt. He averages more yards per dropback than Dak does. The only player with a better passer rating than Joe Burrow is Aaron Rodgers. Burrow's QBR is higher than Dak. So it's like the numbers kind of say that Burrow is the choice, but yet Dak's being priced like it's a slam dunk win. So I don't know. Again, we'll have to see how the final 2 weeks play out. But the fact that Burrow is plus 475 and Dak is -600, like I didn't get how that was priced that way at all.
Yeah, being that it's a media award, I wonder if part of the narrative is that maybe Burrow isn't a real comeback player because he didn't miss as much of the season last year. So I wonder if he has that weird, again, these are voter awards, so this is about how people feel. I wonder if there's some sort of weird barrier there because of that. But I agree, Dak -650, I mean, just in general, nobody should be -650 probably to win any award, let alone this.
Yeah, there's only one award that should have like a very presumptive favorite, and it's the defensive rookie of the year. Like that's been locked up. Like
Yeah.
he's got things. But yeah, I would agree too that the Dak price is probably long. It is a weird media award, and I think some of the narrative building around this, like, oh my God, this Dallas defense is doing it. Like that was gonna be the narrative you needed to get Burrow home. I know some people that have some Burrow tickets for comeback player at a bigger number, and they needed that. And what they didn't need was putting up that many points against the Washington football team. That didn't help things. But I think it's definitely live, and we've seen this where this is not the NFL market. This isn't an NFL cider total. It's not like a -650 is that efficient. It's still an awards market.
Right.
Bigger upsets have definitely happened.
Yeah, we saw in the NBA last year, Thibodeau come out of nowhere to win Coach of the Year after it was going to be Monty Williams and Quinn Snyder. Different league, but same process. Media members putting together how they feel and vote. So anything is possible.
Yeah, KG said that. Oh, let's get to the meat of the bowl season. I did well in my bowl picks yesterday, Alex.
Me too.
I did not.
All the favorites covered by a lot.
Yeah, favorites have been on a run. I think favorites have covered like 11 of the last 13 bowls or something like that.
Maybe even
maybe
more.
that's why I did good yesterday.
From the early underdogs to now some favorites. Yeah, that Oregon first half last night was
I had the over and I paid attention to the first quarter and just kind of said, well, that's not going to happen. And then I think they pretty near got to 70. So it's an easy game, guys. Just favorites and overs right now, I guess is what we're doing. But Clemson made it dicey. I guess that was a bit of a fun game. But yeah, the big ones, Cincinnati, Bama, Cincinnati finally a group of 5 team making an appearance. Obviously a big underdog, and that's why we have handicaps. Like nobody wants to sit here and bet Bama minus 500. That's no fun. That's how we
Sure is.
judge these teams. Yeah,
Sure it is.
sure.
A nice money line parlay. Why not?
Put that in a 10-team part. We joked about that yesterday with soccer. We said, hey, there's a bunch of favorites in the college football, and said there's 2 big favorites in the EPL. So one of those favorites is probably going to mess that up and get a draw for you. And of course, Chelsea
Yep.
concedes super late, and I'm glad we didn't use them. But yeah, Bama minus 13 total. The total I'm kind of interested in here too. I guess this supposes that Cincinnati moves the ball at least halfway decent on offense. They got to contribute.
I don't see how they move the ball on offense. I really don't.
Yeah.
Like they don't have game breakers outside on the outside to be able to really expose that Bama defense. How are they going to block Will Anderson? I all week I've kind of, or all week, but last few weeks leading up to the game, I kind of thought that the number was there to attract Alabama money under 14. But I almost wonder now if this is a situation where people are kind of betting on what they want to see happen as opposed to what's going to happen, and that's taking Cincinnati plus the points. Like I think the play here is a Cincinnati team total under. I don't know how they block Will Anderson. I don't know how they move the ball. Jerome Ford's their best offensive player. And I don't know how they run the ball with any consistency against the Alabama defense. So I think the Cincinnati under 22.5 team total is my best play for this game. And I've heard through the grapevine that Nick Saban's been extra salty and crotchety this week, and that's usually a bad sign for opponents. So I think Alabama is on full yummy rat poison alert, and I think by tomorrow morning I'm going to be on Alabama.
Yeah, I was just doing some mental math, and finally you said it. I didn't know what the team total was, but just looking, I'm like, God, it's north of 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, how are they scoring? How are they scoring 4 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns in the field? I just don't see it. It kind of feels like, remember the Washington semifinal a couple of years ago where it was just that slow, methodical beating. Like they could have played 8 quarters and Washington wasn't going to score a multiple touchdowns to threaten. It kind of feels like that kind of game.
Yeah, I remember that was a Peach Bowl a few years back where it's like Bama could have won this by a lot more and they just didn't. So yeah, I'm down with that. I think an under or a team. I think maybe the team total under makes me feel a little better, just in case Bama gets to doing the thing where Saban unleashes the hounds and doesn't pull them in the whole time, and you end up with a bad beat as Bama just keeps piling it on.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. That's the thing, man. Like if you're taking Cincinnati, I get it, but at the same time, like you could look really smart, or this could be one of those things at the end of the first quarter. You're like, why the hell did I take Cincinnati? And you just be hating yourself for doing it.
Yeah, I've had a few of those bets.
So have I.
Next game, I think, will be a little more interesting. We got Georgia, Michigan here. I mean, Michigan, our Big Ten team. We love the Big Ten, Chris. But I mean, do they really have a chance here against Georgia? We're looking at a line of only 7.5. Georgia, a pretty big favorite on the money line, minus 300. Totals right at 45.5.
I mean, they have a chance, sure. Their defense has played well with those ends, and they could certainly rush the passer. They've run the ball extremely well the last couple of games, but I just like the matchup better for Georgia here than I do how the Bulldogs had to deal with Alabama in the SEC championship game. If Daxton Hall isn't there for Michigan tomorrow, and we don't know if he's here or not, but we know that right now we've been told he's been working through some things, which leads me to believe they're hoping for a negative COVID test in order for him to play in the game. I would think that he would be a big part of that Michigan defense and trying to deal with that 3-headed monster, Darnell Washington, Brock Bowers, and George Pickens. So, like, if he's down and they're down arguably the best secondary player, like, that's a big deal. And I think the way the Georgia defense the way the Michigan offense matches up. I know Michigan's got the more award winners at that offensive line position, but Michigan is not going to be able to line up and play smash mouth and just run, pass on first, second, and third down and beat Georgia. Gaddis and Harbaugh are smart. They know that. I guess because Michigan is one of those teams. Like if you look at their first down play selection this year, I mean they run the ball on 66% of their first downs, which is amongst the highest percentage among Power 5 teams. So they're going to have to break some tendencies and do some things that they're not used to doing. But I think Georgia, after kind of getting humbled a little bit in that SEC championship game, I think this whole narrative of completely reassessing everything Georgia's done throughout the year, oh, they're not really that good. I think that loss and kind of getting punched in the face a little bit might be a good thing come tomorrow night for Georgia. So I'm going to lay the points here with the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I wonder if the loss keeps them from having that kind of look ahead issue where, they win that championship game, they're maybe looking ahead to the title game as opposed to being locked into Michigan, but, kind of getting thumped like they did. I imagine they come out with a solid effort.
And I just look at Michigan box scores. Man, they played some close games against some kind of not good Big Ten teams at certain points in the year. And, now it comes out that maybe Ohio State was fighting the flu that day. And honestly, maybe just not the best matchup, more of a finesse team against a very physical Michigan team. I'm excited to watch the game. I hope it's not a Georgia blowout. I'd like it to be good. But yeah, Georgia by about 10 feels right to me. I tend to agree. And then the next day, we're going to not wake up and watch this. We'll wake up and watch other stuff. I believe this is probably almost supper time Eastern. 4 or 5, I think 5 Eastern Rose Bowl. We got the Urban Meyer
traditional 5 o'clock 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock local kick.
Yeah, the Urban Meyer Rose Bowl. This is a couple former stops for our prodigal son now. But Utah, Ohio State, Utah maybe deserved a little bit. They needed to figure it out for the full year, but really strong ending to the season, putting Oregon in their place, and Ohio State probably a little, maybe more in the Oregon spot. We talked about this a little with the Ducks. Like you were in the playoff, you just needed to finish the season against a tough team, and they didn't. How much, and obviously they had coaching and players and all that, and it was never going to be. But Ohio State kind of in that same spot too. They were a playoff team. This was a team that was destined to be, a 3 seed at a lot of points, and didn't work out versus Michigan. And now here they are in the Rose Bowl. The Rose Bowl's up. It's still, there's a lot of, you can't say, well, we're in the Cheez-It Bowl. This sucks. It's still the Rose Bowl. Like, that's what I'm at. Is there any letdown for Ohio State seeing Michigan playing in the playoff?
I don't think there is a letdown, and I think in a sense that not all of, but some of the major players for Ohio State are opting out to get ready for the draft. Like C.J. Stroud is playing, Trevion Henderson is playing, Jackson Smith and Jigba is playing, Marvin Harrison Jr. will be playing. Like Ohio State recruits so well that I kind of feel like all this really is kind of getting introduced to the next wave of Ohio State superstars. I mean, I think the fact that you're only laying 4.5 here now, look, I get it. I mean, I understand the love for Utah, and I understand that people think their offensive line could control the Ohio State defensive line like Michigan did throughout the year. And Thomas certainly has got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, an Ohio kid that wants to show Ohio State that he should have been there. And they had Devin Lloyd, a great player on defense, but Ohio State just has more of the Thomases and the Devin Lloyds than Utah has. And you just got to wonder too, the Utah finish, was it more of just a victim of circumstance, a situation of circumstance, with playing an Oregon team that was kind of finished at that point in the year and low on players and low on gas. And then they beat Stanford and Arizona and Colorado, 3 terrible teams. So I don't know how good the Pac-12 really was. So would it surprise me if Utah won the game? Absolutely not. But I think Ohio State here at 4.5 is a little bit of an overreaction. And with those guys on offense, I still think they have the potential to put up a big number here. And so I'm gonna go with an ultimate contrarian play here and lay the 4.5 with the Buckeyes.
Well, a contrarian favorite, and I like what you said about the backups here. And it's, Andy, you talk about it when you handicap college basketball. It's a little different situation here. It's everyone is so good that, these guys walk off. That's fine. The next guys are coming on. We'll have a few weeks. And, Chris, you kind of intimated too, you might see a better effort from these guys. We've seen in some of these NBA games, the G League guys are clearly less talented, but they bring a much higher level of intensity because, this is their shot. If you're an Ohio State backup, you're at the Rose Bowl with a chance to lock down a starting position for next year. So I wonder if there is a little much being made, too much being made out of these guys checking out.
Yeah, they had so many good receivers. Like, even if you drop a couple, they still have more high end receivers than a lot of teams do have out there. And Stroud's very good. Should be good. I'm kind of looked at that. I'm guessing that team totals can be fairly high, north of 30. That might be a big ask. Probably a live betting spot. I know I'll be just sitting around live betting this anyway, so probably looking at some spots. We'll see if Ohio State comes out strong. Maybe some live team total overs. See if I can get a worse number live. Bet live team total over 38 or something. Just really paint myself into a corner. But it is nice. I'm a New Year's Day over New Year's Eve guy. I think maybe just because I'm older now and I don't enjoy staying up.
I'm with you.
Like, I'm not staying up for the party anymore, but I love New Year's Day. I love just what's going on with all the bowl games. And I used to go to a billiards tournament that I never entered. I would just go to that bar because it was fun having the tournament. There were so many people there, and we'd watch bowl games and run illegal boards all day long, and that was a lot of fun. So I'm a big New Year's Day guy. I'm looking forward to the Rose Bowl bigly.
Rose Bowl is great.
I'm a fan of the Stanford Steve Bowl on birthday bowl on New Year's Day as well. He was talking about how much he loves watching these like fourth place, fifth place Big Ten SEC games on New Year's Day. And like, I like Iowa plus the points against Kentucky. I mean, what's been Kentucky's bugaboo all year long? It's been turning the ball over. They're minus 13 or so in turnovers. And they've had 5 games with at least 3 turnovers. In Iowa, no one has the turnover voodoo doll more in their corner than Iowa. I mean, they've got turnover luck mastered, and I think the way they just got absolutely annihilated and embarrassed in that Big Ten championship game. I think the only Iowa Hawkeye I've seen opt out is Goodson, the running back. But I mean, that's a plug and play position, and I would think with how badly that Iowa defense was run over against Michigan in the Big Ten championship, I would think Kirk Ferentz's team would put forth a much better effort 2 days from now.
Yeah, my plan was to bet Iowa, watch Notre Dame.
That's a good plan.
I want no part of watching Iowa, Kentucky, but I probably will have some on the Iowa money line. Oh, that's the look there. Penn State, Arkansas, and then Oklahoma, Notre Dame, and of course the nightcap. Baylor, Ole Miss.
I'm looking forward to I'm looking forward to watching that game. That'll probably be the LAX special. I'll probably be at the Delta Sky Club watching that, get ready to get on my flight at some point. I remember a few years back watching the Georgia Baylor Sugar Bowl before a similar situation. But I was thinking maybe tonight too with an Arizona State team total under. I mean, I think the unit I trust the most is the Wisconsin defense, and I would think Jimmy Leonard and that defense should be able to figure something out. I mean, they came off a kind of a disappointing loss against the Gophers there at the end of the regular season, and it's a team that I think they've held 8 of their 12 opponents under 17 points. So it's a pretty good probability that they'll show up and do a good job against an ASU offense that I don't think is really truly dynamic. I don't think they have the offensive wide receiver deep threat, and Daniels hasn't had the best of seasons, and I don't think that back is going to have a big game. I don't think he's really a quick twitch kind of guy who really will have success. So I'm going to look at the Arizona State team total under 17.5 tonight as well.
I like it. Those weak Arizona kids aren't ready for the cheddar-fed Wisconsinites.
Yeah, I mean, even that Gophers game, they only put up 23. A lot of field goals, it felt like. And that was a
That's
terribly
Big
low
Ten
scoring
football.
game. Yeah, Arizona State hasn't faced somebody that plays our particular style of Big Ten football that we have up here. That'll be God, that's another one I might bet on and not watch. But and we appreciate you stopping by. Hopefully you, yeah, enjoy these
Get some
games
sleep.
and yeah, get some sleep on the plane, have fun. Best of luck with all your bets. Appreciate you coming on. Thanks for
Of
the
course.
analysis and thoughts, and have a happy New Year,
Yeah,
Chris.
you guys have a great New Year as well. We'll talk again next week before the title game, and maybe we'll get a tournament of champions selection in there as well.
Oh yes, we have golf next week, so we'll we'll check you next week. Thanks a lot, and have a good one.
Wonder if anybody's going to stop by the Delta Club and say hi to him. Kind of
Turn
added himself a little bit there.
Tournament of Champions. Fun fact: last year was won by someone who hadn't won a tournament that year. It's supposed to be a tournament for people who won tournaments the year before, and they had to just add a few players because of certain things that were happening in the global landscape. And Harris English hadn't won that year, ended up taking that down. He won later in the year, so maybe it was like Minority Report, some precog stuff. But we will go with a few more bets, basketball wise. Just one for you. That's it.
Just
Is it a
one for
light
me.
slate, or I didn't look at the slate yet?
It's a very light slate.
Oh, it's
There's
an
no
ugly
football
slate.
tonight. Thursday night football's over, so maybe there'll be basketball on TNT. I don't know. We're back to our classic tiny slates. You know, you've got the Cavs as underdogs to the Wizards here. The Cavs have been covering like crazy all year. I wouldn't hold it against you if you took a Cavs ticket, but no Jared Allen, no Darius Garland. You know, some bigger guys for them. I don't know if I'm really interested in that. Sixers playing the Nets could be a fun game, should be a fun game, but you know, not terribly interested in anything there. Thought maybe kind of like an under, but you know, I'm not allowed to bet Nets totals. It's just not something I'm allowed to do anymore. Warriors Nuggets, kind of like the Nuggets, but the Nuggets beat the Warriors just last game. Still no Draymond Green, so I think the Nuggets have a chance, but the Warriors rarely, if ever, lose two in a row, especially in kind of a head-to-head situation like this. So maybe some Jokic overs if you're doing some DFS. Fill up some Jokic, captain him, do whatever you want. But one pick for us here in the game between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Orlando Magic. Going back to the well here, this is a number we bet under 100.5 when they played last. And the Magic went over. They, in fact, shot 26 free throws and made 22 of them, which isn't quite double what they usually see game to game, but just way above and beyond what they had. Again, maybe a little concern that we see kind of a Bucks blowout here, and maybe the Magic hang another 37-point third quarter, but I can't get this to 100 points. I just can't. I go through, I keep tweaking stuff. I've got the Magic here at 98 points. I can get them up to as high as 99, but under 101.5 looks really great for a team that is just decimated. I mean, they're filling positions of bad players with even worse players. A lot of the guys that drive their offense aren't really on the floor. I mean, Franz Wagner's been playing pretty well. He put up 38 points the other night, but again, is he going to go 12 for 20, 4 for 8 from 3 and make 10 free throws again? I'm happy to continue to ride this and kind of trust my numbers here. So we'll see. Maybe the Magic
I
get
don't
us
think he
twice, but
will.
under 1 and 1.5 looks pretty good to me.
I'm down. Yeah, garbage slate. And real quick, how about that North Carolina Steam? All morning, people bet North Carolina up to, I'm not sure where this closed, up
Woo,
to minus 13 at some places. They are quickly
15.
down 15-0. Sometimes the
We're going
steam
back the
is
other way.
yeah. Sometimes don't chase the steam, I guess.
North
Yeah,
Carolina plus 4.5, plus three and a
North
half.
Carolina's looking pretty rough right now. I might look at live betting this game. Speaking of horrible bets, Green Bay plus 8.5. This is a really bad team. They only have one win over a Division One team. I just don't rate Northern Kentucky all that well. I think this is an ugly, low-scoring game. Both teams somewhere in the mid to high 60s. They don't have a great offense. They don't have a great defense. They don't make the free throws. They're not a favorite I want to back with the offense they roll out there. All they basically do is offensive rebound. We talked about this yesterday with the team. They didn't cover either. Lamar under 134. This might be the stinker of the day, the worst team I bet on. And I guess I'm betting against them scoring points. Again, it's a very bad defense versus a middle of the pack defense, but both offenses are very bad. I have this modeled out where both teams land in the 60s, and the favorite is very, very, very bad at shooting free throws, which is not going to help to get a lot of points late in the game if we end up into the foul game. So hopefully bad free throw shooting team comes into play somewhere at the end. South Alabama -3. This is one I like quite a bit as a favorite. Not like I like Delaware yesterday, who didn't even win. But basically a fade of UT Arlington. UT Arlington can't shoot threes, can't shoot free throws, doesn't really get the boards that well, turns the ball over a ridiculous amount of time. Almost a quarter of their possessions end up in turnovers. That's going to give my Jaguars a lot of extra possessions to cover this short number. Troy Trojans over 128.5. I think this might be I'm not sure if some of these are COVID breaks or not. They haven't played for 8 days. Neither team has. This is a slower paced Texas State team versus a medium to high-ish pace Troy team. Hopefully Troy can dictate the pace, but I have this modeled out into the 130s. Abilene Christian, Utah Valley over as well. This is more of, I think, actually, like Utah Valley. I don't know if I agree with this favorite, but I just didn't feel comfortable with the side. Again, it is a faster paced team in Abilene Christian. Utah Valley, a very slow paced team. I'm giving the nod to even though they are the underdog, I think the pace keeps up. These offenses get them into the 135-ish range is where I think I had this at. The UT Martin under, I think I took one of these earlier and didn't go so well, but this is a game I think is way too high considering where these offenses stand. Tennessee Martin's offense is stinky beyond belief. If they didn't hit 60, that wouldn't surprise me. And hopefully it just turns into a bit of a blowout where we get a fast-paced second half. As far as fast-paced, like not a lot of stoppages, not a lot of buckets. I'm happy with that. And finally, Eastern Washington, who's played a tougher strength of schedule than a lot of the teams in the Big Sky, I feel. I'm going to have to go look at that to confirm it. But they've played some tough teams. They got a nice win against Wazoo. They played tough with Colorado. They got the shit kicked out of them by Texas Tech, but who's to blame them? This is more of a Portland State fade. This is a team I have in the bottom 5 for effective field goal percentage, bottom 5 for three-point shooting, just a really, really poor shooting offense. And they only have one win over a Division I team as well. Not a good spot for them. I don't think Eastern Washington's going to do much in the Big Sky, but they're definitely middle of the pack. And even as a short road favorite, I like them here. -1.
It.
Or some places are
Plenty.
lagging on this. I bet this at even money on the money line. And then real quick, Saints, Seahawks, or Bears in Survivor.
Oh God! Congratulations for being alive. Let's start with that. Let's see. So I'm going to be honest, Andy. Do you even know who those 3 teams play?
The Seahawks take on the Lions, and it might.
They're
be
hosting
Tim
the Lions.
Boyle.
That seems like a good one. Saints hosting Panthers. Seahawks hosting Detroit. Feels like Seahawks.
I think it's the Seahawks. They try hard.
You can't play the Bears
for no reason. For no reason, they try hard. It's dumb. So I'd probably lean Seahawks, but sorry about losing in your Survivor League this late.
You can see how confident we feel.
Yeah, and Happy New Year, you guys. So long show today. Glad I didn't have a golf meeting.
Indeed.
Either way, yeah, long show. Appreciate you guys all year long. Appreciate, especially today. No show tomorrow. We're going to take the day off. The whole crew's got the day off. We're going to go enjoy some time with our families. What would really, really make my New Year's better would be a thumbs up from you in the YouTube chat.
Yes,
and
please.
Hopefully you win all your bets unless you're against me. And we'll catch you here Monday, huh?
Have a great weekend.